Just imagine, you're there 12 million years ago enjoying a Miocene beach, the sun beating down, the coconut trees swaying. Okay, maybe no coconut trees yet, but it makes for a beautiful scene. Suddenly, a creature appears in the seas that seems to have been created by a special combination of nature: a whale's body, the attitude of a cocky orca, and teeth that look more like school rulers, only sharp. This is Livyatan melvillei. While today's whales prefer a Zen lifestyle, living on plankton soup, like that fitness friend who only drinks green smoothies, Livyatan was the opposite. He craved action, adventure, and a more crunchy menu. It was as if evolution had thought, what if I made a whale that wasn't peace and love, but excitement and adrenaline? And voila, the monster was born. And here's the curious thing. The name Livyatan comes from Livyatan, a legendary creature already known as the terror of the seas. In other words, the creature arrived with a striking name, not a cute nickname like Doll Dolphin. It was more of a, I introduce myself with respect. In short, Livyatan's emergence was like when a new character appears in a series that already had a lot of drama. Only this character arrives with such charisma and presence that he immediately steals the show. The oceans would never be the same again. Now let's talk about this beast's size, because look, Livyatan melvillei wasn't inconspicuous. It was the kind of thing that when it arrived at a party, everyone stopped dancing just to stare. Imagine a marine creature 15 to 18 meters long. To give you an idea, that's practically a 5-story building swimming happily in the ocean. In other words, if you lived on the 3rd floor and looked out your window, you'd see its snout passing by. Let's face it, no one ignores a neighbor that size. And it wasn't just his body either. His head alone was over 3 meters long. That means Livyatan's forehead was bigger than many a popular car. You parked your car and he might even mistake it for a snack. But the most famous detail were his teeth. Oh, his teeth. Each one was about 36 centimeters long. In other words, each of his little teeth was bigger than a 30-centimeter school ruler. Imagine the scene. You forget your ruler at school. Livyatan shows up and says, "Relax, I have several right here in my mouth." Only his weren't plastic, they were bite-firmly ones. While today's great white shark has teeth about 3 inches long, Livyatan looked at this and probably thought, cute, that's almost the size of my toothpick. So yes, Livyatan's size was something that really made a difference. He wasn't just big, he was memorable. Like that tall person who goes to the movies and always has someone complaining, "Hey, can you lower your head a little?" Except in Livyatan's case, it was the entire ocean begging, "Buddy, try swimming deeper, you're blocking the view." If there's one thing that defines Livyatan, besides his exaggerated size, it's his appetite. This guy wasn't a fan of bland diets like seaweed salad or plankton soup. No, sir. While modern whales live the sea vegan lifestyle, only on microalgae cocktails, Livyatan was the kind of guy who sits down at the all-you-can-eat buffet and says, "Bring whatever you have in the kitchen, I'm not here to look at the decor." Imagine the sea as a giant restaurant. There was a varied menu, but Livyatan always ordered the most daring combo. Smaller whales? They were on the list. Large fish. Also. Distracted sharks passing by? Yes, they were included in the main course. It was practically a VIP all-you-can-eat buffet, and he always ordered seconds. And the thing is, with those 36 centimeters teeth, every bite felt like a pair of luxury scissors cutting through the steak. It wasn't even effort, it was style. If he were human, he'd be that friend who cuts the barbecue with a chef's knife just to show off his technique. But don't worry, don't think he was always chasing food like a survival reality show. Livyatan had the look of someone who just needed to give you that look, and the menu came almost by itself. It's like when someone really tall gets in line at a restaurant. The waiters already know they're going to order more. In short, Livyatan's menu was so varied and over the top that if a cooking show were on in the Miocene, he would be the most feared judge. Any dish that didn't include whale in special sauce or large fish would get a disapproving look. The guy had a discerning palate, that's for sure. Just imagine, on one side, Livyatan melvillei, the body-hugging whale, bristling with teeth the size of medieval swords. On the other, megalodon, the bus-sized shark, swimming with the confidence of someone who thinks the entire ocean is their private pool. And then, surprise, they both lived in the same sea. It was like two wrestling champions sharing the same hotel room. The marine community must have been living under stress. A smaller whale, swimming calmly, probably thought, "Oh, I hope I only encounter schools of sardines today, because if I run into one of those two, my trip is over." Now think about it, they both had practically the same menu. This means that, at some point, they must have exchanged glances in the ocean like, "Hey, that fish is my dinner." "Sorry, buddy, it was already on my plate." There you go, the tension was high. And there was no way to be discreet. Livyatan appeared with that 3-meter-long head, and Megalodon arrived with a mouth that looked like the entrance to a subway tunnel. It was practically a movie trailer, slow motion, suspenseful music, and the entire sea becoming the audience. But the truth is, no one knows what this duel was like. There's no record, no YouTube replay, nothing. What I can imagine is that it must have been like those loudest talking contests among friends. No need to even fight, just being present is enough. There were probably days when the megalodon thought, "Oh, I'm lazy today, let this whale have the fish." And others when Livyatan looked like, "If you come at me, I'll take it." In short, the Miocene Ocean was practically a natural arena, where the two giants lived side by side. But instead of battling it out, their great battle was to see who could be the scariest simply through posture. And look, they both knew how to pose. And then comes the moment no one expected. Livyatan melvillei, the big show-off of the seas, simply disappeared. Just like that schoolmate who shows up every day in the cafeteria and then no one sees him again. The mystery is precisely this. Where did Livyatan go? Theories abound. One is that the climate has begun to change. The ocean, which once resembled a wedding buffet, has become a bit sparse on the menu. The smaller whales, Livyatan's favorite dish, have dwindled in number. Imagine arriving at the all-you-can-eat buffet and discovering that all they have is salad and garlic bread. Sad, right? Well, Livyatan thought so too. Another idea is that it had stiff competition. We've already mentioned Megalodon, that shark that pretended to own the pool. Perhaps the competition for best dishes became so fierce that one lost ground. But since no one kept minutes of the Miocene meeting, we don't really know how it happened. There's also the possibility that the ocean itself has changed so much that it's become unfeasible for Livyatan to continue reigning supreme. It's like when your favorite club closes and you think, "Wow, that was my place." Then there's no way out, you have to look elsewhere. But in his case, it seems like it didn't work out. In short, Livyatan's disappearance is one of life's mysteries. No one knows the exact date, there was no fireworks, no last dive party. He simply disappeared, leaving room for the calm whales we know today. It's as if the series' most bad boy protagonist had left, and calmer characters had arrived, the kind who meditate and eat only plankton salad. And look, the ocean must have even sighed with relief. Phew, now I can be a more zen place. Despite disappearing from the scene back in the Miocene, Livyatan melvillei hasn't been forgotten. Quite the contrary. Today, it's practically a celebrity in the prehistoric seas. It's like that old band that only released one album, but still has a loyal fan club and a documentary on Netflix. His name already suggests his importance. Livyatan comes from Livyatan, a legendary sea creature that has always been synonymous with respect. And melvillei is a tribute to Herman Melville, author of Moby Dick. Consider the delightful irony. Melville wrote about a mysterious white whale, but the real Livyatan was so exaggerated that he would make Moby Dick look like a friendly water park dolphin. Today, when scientists talk about Livyatan, there's always that creature was insane tone. Not just because of its size, nor because of its giant teeth, but because of the impact it had on the ocean. It was like that schoolmate who, even years later, still sparks conversations. Remember Livyatan? Wow, that one was a real handful. And look, Even though he's no longer around, his legacy lives on. He's used as an example of what nature can invent when it decides to play hard mode. And for those who enjoy imagining epic battles, Livyatan and Megalodon together are the stuff of dreams, like a league of sea titans. In short, Livyatan left a legacy of greatness, fame, and eternal respect. He is remembered as the most incredible predator, the big show-off to ever grace the ocean. If there were a Sea Hall of Fame, you can be sure his name would be in bold letters, complete with neon lights. And between you and me, even though he disappeared millions of years ago, Livyatan still manages to give us goosebumps just thinking about him. In other words, he came out of the sea, but never left our memories. So that's today's video. If you liked it, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. See you in the next story.